against Trump. Somebody has a book that just came out. We're going to explore that. Also, we're going to take a look at some culture issues, some major HBO show that was just put on hiatus, famous Sex in the City. Why is that? Sarah Silverman and Jimmy Kimmel, legends. They were on a podcast. Actually, they went against the woke, or they went against the left. Let's see how they talked about it. We're also going to talk about the president. He's coming up. He's got big meetings, international meetings. We're also talking about gerrymandering. That's been in the news. This Texas redistricting is all over the news. And we're going to talk about that with the state senator here. That and more coming up on Media Exposed.
Do you dare to follow me down?
What they do say is fake news.
Head into the unknown.
That's how devious the media's become. They're full force activists now.
They colluded. Trump folks were in on it.
Down the rabbit hole.
Sways elections, sways policy. We need to expose them.
Republicans trash the country.
Where it stops, no one knows. We're going.
I've been doing this since I was 18. I've had hit jobs done against me. I've been attacked by media reporters. Am I afraid? No. Truth will prevail. Fake news media, we're here to call you out.
Head into the unknown.
Media Exposed with Adam Weiss starts now.
Welcome to Media Exposed. When even Hollywood's own Sarah Silverman and Jimmy Kimmel, late night Jimmy Kimmel, start calling out elitism, extreme of wokeism, you know the left's culture game is crumbling. The house of cards are coming down. And maybe Kimmel's just figuring out that comedy died because he helped kill it over the years. Also, this Disney's decision to cancel the queer-coded Goosebumps series after just 2 seasons is clearly a sign that jacked up woke agenda have finally backfired. Even show with 75 viewing hours in the U.S. couldn't survive political grandstand, the massive progressivism. And the Sex in the City of Reboot was called Just Like That is no more after a few seasons. The once beloved series that was a cultural phenomenon in the early 2000s went from celebrating fabulous women in New York to dating their dating lives, the restaurants, the culture, fashion, just being fabulous in New York. Then these new series, they were pushing lesbianism, non-binary kids, overloaded episodes were drenched in cultural politics, and now it's canceled because the audience didn't sign up for lectures and it lost what women once loved about it. I want to welcome my guest, Dana Canada. She's a senior reporter at the Daily Mail. Dana, thanks for joining us.
Good to be here.
Dana, thanks. I wanted to talk about this first because Jimmy Kimmel has been bashing conservatism for so long. He was He was on his ex-girlfriend from many decades ago podcast. I didn't even know that she had one, but what they were doing was talking about the left and Trump. And I want to play this first clip because it's very interesting here. Sarah Silverman tells Jimmy Kimmel that the Democratic Party are elitists. But wait. Oh, now you tell us this? Let's go to cut one here.
Republicans know the difference between right and wrong in general. Like, they know what they're doing. Something is, I don't know. But the left, it's just, I find it ironic. The left, I'm on the left. But like, I find in general, the party that is about inclusivity is incredibly elitist. Just and say, join us. Yes, come, join us.
That's like, it reminds me of Jake Tapper and Alex Thompson from Axios running around. They wrote a book on Biden's decline. And they were part of the decline, and yet they were doing this massive book tour like lectures. Now you wake up, Sarah Silverman and Jimmy Kimmel, and tell us elitism. Come on. I think it's a little too late. But give me your thoughts on that.
I think it's a little too late, and it looks a little borderline pathetic to see both of them doing this when they have been really leading the charge among comedians, stand-up comedians. But, I think that the firing, or whatever you want to call it, of Stephen Colbert really hit a lot of people hard. On one hand, Colbert came back out on his show and he's saying, F you, Trump, and having all this bravado, and all these people are sticking up for him. But you have to know that sent quite a shot across the bow to a lot of people in Hollywood. They realize this is serious, and they realize Jimmy Fallon and Jimmy Kimmel could be next. And I think they're trying to do something to separate themselves out from the 2020 to 2024 woke insanity. And this is what you're seeing now. And it's probably going to continue, and it's probably going to continue to be fairly pathetic.
I'm old enough, probably not, you're not, but I'm old enough to remember Johnny Carson was a.
I remember Johnny.
I didn't even know.
I'm Jack Parr, but I remember Johnny Carson.
I didn't even know what party he represented or what party he was. All he did was wanted to make people laugh at night. Same with Jay Leno, pretty much. Somehow along the line, when Trump got elected, they got moved with the rest of the culture, and they became what they like to say, TDS, Trump derangement syndrome, and they lost a lot of their audience. People don't want to be lectured. But watch this. Cut to Kimmel says Trump president's way worse. So in one sense, he's saying, well, but watch this.
I know, we're thinking about where they can get citizenship. And
I do have Italian. I did get Italian citizenship.
You do?
I do.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I do have that. And what's going on is as bad as you thought it was going to be.
Way worse.
It's so much worse. It's just unbelievable. Like, I feel like it's probably even worse than he would like it to be.
Visit the other, what's the name, from The View.
The question I always have when I see someone like Kimmel say that is truly, I would like to say to him, okay, really, what specific examples can you give me of how terrible your life is? He's a multi-million-dollar television host. He has, at least today, an amazing perch as a nighttime comedian. So what specifically is so terrible, whether you like Trump or not? When I leave my home in Midtown Manhattan, like, what happens to me as a result of Trump being in power? It's very hard to really delineate the actual examples. Do you know what I mean?
They just go along with the fold. They go along with the rest of the crowd. It's like the kids in high school when you said, oh, those are the jocks, or those are the, and they all go along with each other. It takes a strong fortitude to say, you know what, I'm going to go against the crowd, but they're afraid to lose their job. They're afraid to lose their perch. They're afraid to lose the in crowd of Hollywood. So they just, they think what's cool and in. And meanwhile, culture's moving so fast. And it looks like between the two of them.
I think about this a lot, Adam, because no matter what, whether you think Trump is the worst person in the world or not, we are moving past those sort of 4 years of insane wokeism in which everybody went way too far. I mean, way too far. And they were able to do that in a way because the pandemic was freaking everybody out. I mean, everybody lost their minds, but now things have normalized a little bit. And time is marching on, and we're not back where. Remember when Stephen Colbert did that incredible episode with the dancing vaccines?
How can you forget?
And it's not going to hold up well in the future. They just went too far, as if this was going to be the reality from now on. Of course, it's not.
Dana,
now
think about the producers, all the writers they have for CBS, right? They might probably have 10 writers every day in the back, and they're sitting around going, "What's going to be a good skit?" And they come up with that. And that's what you're paying people to say, and when at the end of the day say, this is going to be really funny.
Well,
and I don't know who would find that funny.
Did the writers come up with that skit, or did, the sponsors? I mean, Pfizer alone sponsors so much, and that, Big Pharma single-handedly props up a lot of late night television shows and cable shows. And, listen, being a conspiracy theorist, I think I imagine there was kind of a push to do a skit like that. And I wouldn't be surprised if an advertising agent from Pfizer or whatever was the one that came up with that idea, not the writer's room in Colbert's operation. I could be wrong, though.
So when I first moved to the city a little after I moved to see what was really in, and women used to talk about every day almost was Sex in the City. There was these 4 fabulous women, and they weren't conservative. They were pretty out forward for the future. They were independent. Samantha was sleeping around. She was the publicist. Jessica Parker had different boyfriends. I mean, Carrie, the main star. Charlotte was the conservative one, but it was interesting because they were very similar to a lot of women in New York. You get to New York, you get the job, and they showed these fabulous parties. The visuals were great, but then they started this new series, recently on Sex in the City, and it was called Sex in the City and Just Like That. And I want to play you a clip here because this was in the first season, and after this clip, it might have just went downhill after that. Let's play cut 3. Watch this.
You just scooch over a little bit, baby girl. I'm falling off the bed here.
I hate it when you call me that.
Well, you are my baby, and you will always be my baby no matter how big you get.
I'm not talking about the baby part. I'm talking about the girl part.
What do you mean?
I don't feel like a girl.
Oh. Well, sometimes I don't feel like a girl either. Lily, sometimes you don't feel like a girl, right?
And it was called And Just Like That. And I think And Just Like That, that's where they decided, let's ruin what was a great franchise at the beginning. Give me your final thoughts on that. And then how they ended the Sex and the City reboot. Give me your final thoughts.
The original Sex and the City was perfection. I was that group in the late 1990s in New York, and that show was more than a cultural touchstone. It really touched women like me. It got us. It really got us. The reboot was so putrid. I basically couldn't bear to watch it. I saw enough to say no more. It's a shame, and it just. I hope it's one of the final nails in the coffin of this awful 4 years of hyper woke culture.
Dana, I got to jump. Thanks for joining us. Hopefully I'll see you soon. Thank you, Dana. Stand by. Coming up, what the mainstream isn't telling you about gerrymandering. But next, all things Trump, the media, and the police take over.
There's nothing worse than losing your dog before their time.
That's why I created Dr. Marty Nature's Blend, designed to help dogs with everything from digestive issues to itching, even moving better.
Nature's Blend works because it's freeze-dried. So instead of destroying the nutrients with high heat, they all get right into your dog's body.
Take it from a veterinarian with over 50 years of experience saving dogs' lives. I have never seen a food make this much impact on a dog's health.
For a limited time, get up to 54% off Dr. Marty Nature's Blend, plus a free gift with our special TV offer. Call or go to drmartypets.com/TV.
Is your body ready for summer?
We're gonna build a body you can be proud of. You just give me 30 minutes a day for 21 days, and I promise you, the weight will come off.
This is 21 Day Fix, the perfect program to get you summer ready.
I am in perfect shape for my bikini.
I had that sexy little bee.
Get simple fitness, simple nutrition, fast results in just 21 days.
Get ready for summer with 21 Day Fix. This week, try it free at 21dayfix.com. That's 21dayfix.com.
Water, nature's ultimate cleaner. We drink it, we bathe in it. Think water, think steam, think clean. Now harness the power of water with the H2O X5 5-in-1 steam cleaning system.
I'm so impressed with the X5.
It's an all-in-one product, so I can use it throughout my entire house.
It's cleaning, it's sanitizing, there's no chemicals in it. It's just steam.
This is unbelievable. There is no more odor.
5 minutes, I'm done. Look at that, it's amazing.
If you're ready to step into an effective, economical, and eco-safe world of cleaning, look no further than the H2O X5. Using just the power of superheated water, the X5 Super Hot Steam cleans and kills up to 99% of germs, viruses, and bacteria. You could spend over $500 to purchase the products that the X5 5-in-1 Miracle replaces. But through this special TV offer, you won't spend $400, $300, or even $200. Order your H2O X5 steam cleaning system, a $500 value, for just 4 easy payments of $43. you'll get the X5 steam mop with microfiber pad, the carpet glider, the handheld scrubber, the window glass and mirror attachment, and the garment and upholstery bonnet. It's a complete 10-piece system, all this for just 4 easy payments of $43. But it gets even better. Order now and we'll upgrade your X5 package. We'll add a 6th mode with a dusting and polishing wand. Valued at over $30, this extra bonus attachment makes your H2O X5 the H2O X6. That means your 10-piece system becomes a 12-piece system at no extra cost to you. If after 30 days you're not absolutely delighted, send it back for a full refund of the purchase price. Don't wait. Now's your chance to own the X5 for just 4 easy payments, and we'll make the first payment for you. You get the X5 incredible 5-in-1 lightweight, powerful 12-piece steam cleaning system, a $500 value, all for just 3 easy payments of $43. This offer can't last forever, so call or click right now.
Welcome back to Media. So the media is spinning Trump's takeover D.C. policing as authoritarian, but they forget that for years they themselves blasted the city for crime, filth, until he stepped in. Anything to go against Trump, anything at all. If it's Trump says good, they say bad. 65% of Americans say they don't feel safe in D.C. The press may pretend otherwise, but the public knows the streets tell a different story. Washington, D.C. was always meant to be run by the federal government, yet local politics turned into a crime-ridden mess. Now, Trump just wants to restore order. There's no reason why people from out the world, throughout the country, shouldn't come and have a peaceful capital. By cleaning up D.C., Trump isn't just fixing the capital, he's sending a message to every city in America that law and order can be restored in this country. The mainstream media's freak out over Trump taking control of D.C. police isn't about democracy, it's about losing their favorite symbol of chaos they used to score political points. I want to welcome my next guest, Dave Zier, host of Breaking Point. Dave, thanks for joining us on the set here. Like everything, David, Trump says, I got a cure for so many diseases. We're against it. They're terrible. But even S.C. Cupp, who has Trump derangement syndrome, let's watch her first clip here. Let's go to cut 4. Even she says this is the right thing to do, pretty much. Let's go to cut 4.
But S.C., you wrote something, provocative on your Substack about whether you think Democrats are sort of falling into a trap here of Donald Trump's making.
Yeah, I think a few things can be true. One is that I think he's using this issue to distract for some other things. That doesn't mean it's a bad political strategy. I think it's a very good one. And the numbers can be what they are, but also people don't feel that way. And when it comes to two things, crime and the economy, feelings don't really care about your facts. And I can't tell you how profoundly stupid it is for Democrats to get up with their facts and their figures and their charts and their graphs and say, look, you're safe. Can't you read this chart, idiots? Why are you complaining? I'm showing you right here how safe you are, so shut up and move along. I don't have to tell you how profoundly stupid that is because voters told you how profoundly stupid that was in 2024 when Democrats said, see these economic numbers? The economy's great. What are you complaining about? See these crime numbers? Crime's down. You're safe. See these immigration numbers? Obama deported way more. There's no migrant crisis. I can't tell you enough that politics is perception and the numbers can be right, but you never tell voters they're wrong about how they feel.
It reminds me of Eric Adams. He's always saying the city's safer, the streets are better. Meanwhile, I make a left, there's 5 homeless guys there. There's someone going to the bathroom in the subway when I walk in. And there's a poll that came out today or yesterday. It said he's at 7% in the polls. So sometimes whatever you say, people see it, feel it on the ground. And they know it in D.C., David, right? The residents?
Yeah, they do. And just to start off, New York City had heinous crimes over the past week. 3 people shot in Times Square, a 14-year-old murdered by a 15-year-old on a playground, a woman strangled unconscious, and attempted rape in Hell's Kitchen. The crime is bad in New York City. Don't believe what they tell you. But Biden went on a tirade on the Senate floor in about 1992, and he's saying he wouldn't stop for stoplights and would just leave his foot on the gas as he exited D.C. in fear of being carjacked. It's only okay when a Democrat talks about crime in the inner cities. And if any Republican said what Biden said with his historically racist comments and borderline racism on many things, Anyone who said that on the Republican side would be classified as a racist. And I asked Trump in 2024 at the Harlem Bodega what he was going to do to clean up America's cities, and I included Washington, D.C. in that question. And he made a commitment that he was going to address it, and here he is, and he's doing it.
Good question, David.
Yeah.
Because he has the courage to do it. And most Republicans don't. Why? Because I think it's the DC's 50% African American. And they don't want to be the boogeyman of all politicians. They don't want to be called a racist. They're afraid to do that. So glad he's taking it on, straight on. It's all about crime. It's about homelessness. It's about being in a safe community. But watch this, how CBS Evening News, one of the biggest shows, they use these cooked up numbers. Watch cut 5 here.
Yeah.
The police department in Washington says violent crime in the city this year is down 26%, homicide alone down 11%, and robberies down 28%.
One number that is rising is the crime fighting force, with the president sending in federal agents to help the police. And today, 800 National Guard troops started taking up positions.
Despite the falling crime rate in the city of 700,000 people, the president has declared a crime emergency and taken charge of the D.C. police. Justice correspondent Scott McFarland is in Washington. So, Scott, how was day one with the new sheriff in town?
Hey, Maurice, this first ever takeover of its kind began with 23 arrests and the investigation of another murder. Under law, it can only last 30 days. But the concern is, how does this initiative end?
National Guard troops arrived at the Armory in southeast Washington, D.C. today, 4 miles from the White House. They'll join near.
You know, and then they had someone come on and complained about it at the end, David. But I saw a report today, a story, a sergeant sued the police department in D.C., and he won because they made him cook the books, and he was like a whistleblower. And they weren't reporting stabbings, all sorts of what usually crimes, robberies, stabbings. They weren't reporting them as felonies.
Yeah.
So what you see right there, those crime sticks are pretty much BS.
Yeah, they were reporting them as lower crimes. And listen, Capitol Hill is the second worst neighborhood out of 8 of the major neighborhoods in Washington, D.C. And if you look at the carjacking map, most of the carjackings don't take place in Anacostia, across the Anacostia River, southeast D.C. They're right there in downtown D.C. And I just wanted to add, NBC confirmed that. You know, you're here to expose the media. But, you know, they exposed that the Metropolitan Police Department guy was placed on leave after he filed a complaint against the department for fudging the numbers. And the unions claimed the police supervisors in the department manipulate the crime data to make it appear that violent crime is considerably less over last year. And Newsbusters also exposed this, that many networks were regurgitating the rigged data on the air on national television constantly.
Between the rigged dating and a lot of the violence and the overall immoral behavior and violent behavior, they don't even arrest anymore, because ever since that BLM crackdown and BLM riots and coming of the new age, the way they treated police, police don't do a lot what they used to. They don't want to be charged. They don't want to be indicted. They got to be careful. They're walking on eggshells all the time. So a lot of what used to be crimes they don't even go after anymore in the cities.
Yeah, that's true. And listen, crime has been back and forth and is overall lower in Washington, D.C., but who cares? Why should tourists and staffers and politicians be at risk to be carjacked? Do you know that like 56% of the 330 or so people arrested for carjackings since 2023 in Washington, D.C. were as young as 12 years old and juveniles under the age of 18. They got a big problem. And 72% of the carjackings, Adam, in D.C. This year alone were done with guns. So They got big problems.
I want to go to a cut here, David. It's our old friend who's now the U.S. attorney in D.C.
Yeah.
And, D.C. is the one city. I think there's one city that we oversee. It's an island that we oversee, that she's actually the DA and the U.S. attorney at the same point. Judge Jeanine Pirro from Fox News. She really goes off here. Watch this. Let's go to cut 6.
To gun violence prevention programs.
Oh, stop it. We are putting all kinds of resources onto the street.
That's all we've got. Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Martin issued a press release hailing the drop in crime rates at the end of it. What changed?
It's never enough. This changed. This changed. It's never enough. You tell these families crime has dropped. You tell the mother of the intern who was shot going out from McDonald's near the Washington Convention Center, oh, crime is down. You tell the kid who was just beat the hell and back with a severe concussion and a broken nose, crime is down. No, that falls on deaf ears. And my ears are deaf to that. And that's why I fight the fight. Thank you.
You know, David, I said to myself a few months ago when she got appointed, I said, she's 5 days a week. She's on the 5, the number one rated show on Fox, making a tremendous salary. Does she really, in her 70s, want to go and be a U.S. attorney and do this? Does she have the energy? That answers the question. Right?
I think she was itching to get back into the legal side of things. And you know better than anybody. You represented Judge Janine for many years, and she's very direct and to the point, right? This is definitely a mic drop moment for her. No nonsense. And listen, it's like Trump too, right? He's later on in his years. He was shot at, twice, or they tried to kill him twice. And he doesn't care anymore what people think, right? He just wants to do the right thing. And I think Janine's got that spirit running through her.
But this is a third chapter or fourth chapter, Janine. And there's no question she has energy here. And she's doing the right thing. And what a team he's assembled in D.C. now. I want to ask this question because, we have this big summit. And, which side during the summit is because the media dislikes Putin, dislikes Trump equally, I think. Who are they going to blame if they don't come out with a deal?
Trump.
Oh, so in the hierarchy of the elite media, you think they'll even take the side of Putin, their enemy, because they used Putin when they wanted to go after him in 16, right? 17. They made our relationship with the Russians terrible, right? Because poor American Russians were walking around.
Oh, yeah.
Poor American Russians that were good people were like, why are we getting treated this way? Well, it's because of the media's fault.
It's a good point. And they always interfered in our elections to a little bit of a degree, only spending $150,000 on Facebook.
Right.
They didn't even do anything really. But they've been unfairly portrayed in some ways. Putin is the aggressor in this case. I think it's a big opportunity, though, and Trump will come out on top.
Dave, thanks for joining. Up next, gerrymandering, the mainstream media's dishonesty about that. That and more coming up on Media Exposed.
Did you know that thousands of authors across the country have written books and published them with Page Publishing? If you've written a book, Page Publishing can help you through the process. We cut through the confusion of the publishing world to make it easy for you. If we decide to publish your book, your work ends and ours begins. From copy editing and proofing to typesetting and book cover art, we get you printed, distributed, and sold on Amazon, Apple iTunes, and in bookstores across the country. We'll even help you promote your book. That's right, we do all this for you. Biography, self-help, mystery, novels, sci-fi, even a children's book. No matter what genre, Page Publishing can bring your book to life. Call today for your free author submission kit and find out how you can be the next published author at Page Publishing.
Call for your free writer's guide, 800-319-0257. That's 800-319-0257, 800-319-0257, or scan the QR code now.
This right here is confidence in a bottle.
Not only does it change you on the outside, but something in the inside, knowing that you're looking better.
It makes me feel so much more confident than I've ever felt in my life.
They are some of the hottest videos on social media. Those videos claiming to instantly get rid of bags under your eyes. Well, today we're going to see one for ourselves and let you be the judge. It's called Plexiderm, and lifestyle expert Annette Figueroa is here to tell us why she says This one is for real.
This one is for real, and I'm so excited. We even have a video, and you'll notice the model has bags underneath his eyes and some sagging, and all he uses is a small amount on a clean, dry face, and that's how easy it is.
All right, what's the active ingredient?
Okay, so it's silicates that are minerals found in shale rock, and what it does is it tightens and lifts the appearance of bags underneath your eyes in as little as 10 minutes, no prescriptions, and very little effort. Even watching the video, this is a real, it's a model, but it's a real guy with real bags underneath his eyes.
My real true opinion is holy words I can't say on camera. This is absolutely unbelievable. I mean, I could feel it just lifting my skin. It was amazing. It feels good. Feels great. Looks even better.
And I did this to my father. We were at home. So we applied it to his under eye bags. And let me tell you, we were so excited. In under 10 minutes, they visibly disappeared from view. And now it is literally part of both of our daily routines. He calls me every single month saying, "Hey, Annette, I'm out of Plexiderm. Please send me more." And not only does it work on the bags, it works on the appearance of crow's feet, fine lines, and wrinkles. The way you want to do it is you want to have a clean, dry face. You use a small amount because it's so powerful. You have high school reunions, you have events you want to go to, you want to look years younger. This is it.
At our $14.95 price, it's the best way to try Plexiderm and see it work for yourself after your first application. Call the number on your screen.
Call 1-800-854-0295.
Welcome back to Media Exposed. The media loves to paint gerrymandering. Big in the news right now, Texas. It's taken on a national tone now. What is gerrymandering? It's every 10 years or so we have a census and they redistrict and try to make it fair. But now it's a Republican problem. But the reality is both parties have been rigging the maps for decades. Democrat lawmakers fled to Illinois to protest, Texas lawmakers to protest unfair maps. Yet Illinois is one of the most gerrymandered states in the entire country. The irony is off the charts. New York's Democratic governor, Kathy Hochul, has tried twice to jam through partisan maps, but the press barely whispers about it. When the Republican drew maps, it's a threat to democracy. When Democrats do it, it's expanding representation. That's how biased cover. If the media were honest, they'd admit gerrymandering is a bipartisan game of power, and both sides play to win. I want to welcome my next guest. It's New York State Senator George Borrello. Senator, thanks for joining us. First time on Media Exposed.
It's good to be on with you. Thank you very much.
Senator, this Texas gerrymandering has taken a life of its own. Now it's in national news. But when Governor Hochul tried to do it, right, remember 2022, barely a whisper from the New York media. She almost got away with it. She had to be slapped down by the state court of appeals. It's not enough they're jamming illegals down, trying to get them to register to vote all over the city, all over New York State. She not only wanted to gerrymander the districts, and they to get more districts. The hypocrisy, right, from Governor Hochul. And in Illinois, he does the same thing, Pritzker. But you have them all running around and the media playing offense for them. Give me your thoughts on the Texas situation and New York situation now, because she's threatening to gerrymander more, right?
Well, let's be clear about one thing. In the state of Texas, they are allowed by their state constitution to redistrict pretty much whenever they want. And the governor is deciding to do that. I don't necessarily agree with that. But when you look at the evidence, Democrats really have a lot of blood on their hands when it comes to just egregious redistricting and gerrymandering. And New York State leads the pack. Like you mentioned, in 2022, we have a constitutionally mandated bipartisan redistricting commission in New York State. And the Democrats, once they seized control of the New York State Senate in 2019, immediately moved to undermine it. They defunded it, they stacked it, they rigged it, and then they basically said, we don't like the maps you presented, so we're going to draw our own. And that drew harsh criticism from government groups. We as Republicans had to sue, and we won. And we won, by the way, with courts in New York State that are dominated by Democrat-appointed judges judges who are for the most part, pretty liberal. But they were good jurists at the times. They judged the Constitution and the law properly. But that wasn't good enough for the Democrats. So what did they do? They decided they were going to rig the judicial system. They tossed aside the chief judge and they put a lapdog in, a guy by the name of Rowan Wilson, who is a far left activist judge. They rejected a much better jurist in Hector LaSalle, also that they could have their lapdog go back and throw out the new maps again, which they did. Their lapdog chief judge tossed out the maps so that they could redraw them again. So the governor and the Democrats in New York are more guilty because they violated the Constitution, they rigged the system, they sabotaged the Independent Redistricting Commission so they could get the maps that they wanted. And this is something that is repeated over and over again in Democrat states across the nation.
On another note, they cheat. They want to register illegals. I was coming up at the convention last year in 24 this summer, Senator, and I lost my license. I was going to the Republican National Convention, and I said, and my passport was in Florida. So I'm like, oh my God, how am I going to travel? So I rounded up, I had nothing really. I rounded up some bank statements, whatever I could get my hand on to go to motor vehicle quickly in Riverhead, Long Island. I go to the motor vehicles, and I go to get my license, and I get to the counter, and she didn't ask me for one proof, not one proof of ID. You know what she kept asking me over and again? Am I registered to vote? I turned around, and there were like 200 Hispanics, looked illegal Hispanics or whatever, sitting there waiting. So, and when I grew up, you needed ID, at least two proofs of ID to get a new license. Not only they gave my new license, all they were worried about was signing me up to vote. So there's a lot of shenanigans and games being played, but I want to go to this first clip. Let's just cut number 7. It's Governor Hochul from New York has a bit of a meltdown. Watch this.
And we didn't intend to do this again until the 2032 elections. But because we're in a different situation altogether that demands that leaders stand up and say, I'm not going to let our democracy be eroded away because there's a blatant power grab to maintain power in our nation's capital. This is what I call a legal insurrection. Mm-hmm. Legal insurrection. Just let the rules stay the way they are. We'll do it the way we always have. But here we have Texas, and now going to other states. J.D. Vance, why aren't you looking out for how to lower costs like you promised? Instead, he's going like a lapdog around the country to different states saying, oh, can we pick up some here? Can we pick up some here? Because they know they're going to lose next year. That's the only reason they're engaging this. And also might be a nice distraction from people asking, all of a sudden this happens when they refuse to release the Epstein files. So I, along with a lot of people in New York, are saying, what's that all about? Is this just another red herring? So no one's buying this. Just Texas, knock it off. We'll knock it off. And let's get back to governing. But you want to play these games? We're not going to sit on the sidelines. We're New Yorkers. We fight back.
What is she? It's so silly what she's saying because they tried to pull the wool over the eyes of New York State residents. Thankfully, the GOP stopped it. And even when they had to do the recommission, they had a bipartisan commission. The lines weren't that great, but we still won enough seats to, But give me your thoughts on Hochul. She seems like she's having a breakdown here for some reason.
Well, First of all, I think most people would agree that interview on Fox News was a train wreck, and she was trying to justify something. And again, talking about the pot calling the kettle black, right. Her actually saying, they're going to go at it again. They went at it in 2022, 2023, and now they're trying to do it again in 2025. This is just an excuse. Talk about a red herring. She's the one who's trying to drag a red herring across the sinful way that they have tried to gerrymander New York. And this is just an excuse for them to do it again. Honestly, they probably look at this as a blessing. But if you look at blue states across, and I know you're aware of this, blue states across the country and look at the representation. You want to talk about disenfranchising voters? In Massachusetts, there's 36% are registered Republicans. They have 0 seats in Congress. And the list goes on. Connecticut, 42% Republicans, 0 seats. Maine, New Hampshire, New Mexico, Rhode Island, even in states like New York and California, Republicans are underrepresented based on the percentage that they are. And then when you throw in non-affiliated voters, which philosophically tend to lean more Republican now, the folks are underrepresented largely due to Democrat gerrymandering. So, now cry wolf because they're doing it in Texas, which they're legally allowed to do, and they're not legally allowed to do in New York.
You're right, because even California has, I think, close to 40% Republicans, and they have very few seats. So talk about gerrymandering. Think about it. Massachusetts has, what did I say, 9 seats? 8 or 9 seats?
It's in Massachusetts. It's there's 0 seats.
That's what I'm saying. They have 8 congressional seats, and there's 0 Republicans. So where's the fairness there? You have to start carving out. In their mind, the only fairness is Democratic seats, carving out for minorities and making Democrats win every seat. That's what the Democrats want, because they know when you put our ideas versus their ideas and in common sense seats, we win, right? So they have to stuff. And the Republicans, Senator, always have a much harder road to congressional to win the to have the leadership and the speaker in the Congress, because in the cities and the urban areas, Republicans usually don't have a shot. Like in New York State, New York City, every district, we could lucky if we were 1 or 2 districts in a Brooklyn, or 3 or 4 districts, Staten Island, Brooklyn. Most of the cities we don't have a shot at all. So, and the urban, in rural and suburban areas, Republicans always have a tough fight. It's always never easy. So Democrats always have an easier path, whether it's the state senates or the congressional. Democrats, because of these gerrymandering, because they're pure city districts, they have a much easier. But I want to show you this clip cut of Governor Abbott from Texas sending a warning to Governor Newsom. Watch this.
Well, to be clear, listen, all those big blue states, they've already gerrymandered. Look at the map of Illinois. Look at the map of California, New York, and Massachusetts, and so many other blue states. They gerrymandered a long time ago. They got nothing left with regard to what they can do. And know this, if California tries to gerrymander 5 more districts, listen, Texas has the ability to eliminate 10 Democrats in our state. We can play that game more than they can because they have fewer Republican districts in their states.
That's what I said, fewer districts. And Governor Abbott said it just like you said it, Senator. They've already gerrymandered everything they can. The threats that they're saying, what else can they gerrymander if they're threatening? They already have 8-0, right? How many more seats can Newsom want in California? Give me your thoughts on Governor Abbott.
Well, first of all, I understand the reasoning behind what he's doing, but I think there's an important point to be made here, that when Democrats have exclusive power, they want to silence opposition. And that's what's going on here. They do not have anyone that is opposing their agenda and their message. And there's another shoe on this too that's dropping. 4 years of an open border under Biden meant millions and millions of people coming across the border illegally, and those folks all count now in the census. So what do you do in states like New York, which lead the nation in outmigration? More people leave New York State than any other state in the nation. You fill it in with people that are a drain on the system, but they will still count in the next census. This is how they're shoring up Democrat blue states, is by bringing in non-citizens to count in the census. That was the real secret agenda behind Biden's open border, and now we're seeing that play out.
Senator, I want to thank you. It's a great discussion. I'd love to have you back soon. And let's go get some more senators, GOP senators, hopefully in New York next year. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Up last, this legal system versus POTUS. Boy, has that been something else the last 3. We're going to talk to someone who has a brand new book out. That and more coming up on Media Exposed.
Sometimes business travel takes you to Chicago, Amsterdam, Los Angeles, New Delhi, Tel Aviv, or Tokyo. And sometimes to Count of Air. Here at Book a Limo, we think globally. We think business, your business. It doesn't matter where you go. No place is too far. We're there for you!
What's your destination? Book a limo. Any car, anywhere.
Mama, look.
It's just like our new house.
I hope you have an American Home Shield warranty. Leaky toilet? Fixed. Clogged AC coils? Fixed. Oven beyond repair? Ta-da! If AHS can't fix your covered item, then replace it, no matter its age.
A warranty is smart.
Oh, a happy family.
Is that us?
Too much. American Home Shield. Sign up today at ahs.com.
How does the world's most trusted dog expert keep his own dogs so healthy?
Hi, I am Cesar Milan. In my 20 years rehabilitating dogs, I've seen too many struggle with health problems that no amount of training could fix. Then I discovered it wasn't the dog, it was their food. Fortunately, I found veterinarian Dr. Marty's anti-kibble breakthrough.
Nature's Blend is packed with whole foods that are freeze-dried, locking in nutrients.
I saw remarkable improvements in my dogs within weeks.
Try Dr. Marty risk-free for 90 days. Plus, get a free gift when you call or visit drmartypets.com/Caesar.
Did you know that thousands of authors across the country have written books and published them with Page Publishing? If you've written a book, Page Publishing can help you through the process. We cut through the confusion of the publishing world to make it easy for you. If we decide to publish your book, your work ends and ours begins. From copy editing and proofing to typesetting and book cover art, we get you printed, distributed, and sold on Amazon, Apple iTunes, and in bookstores across the country. We'll even help you promote your book. That's right, we do all this for you. Biography, self-help, mystery, novels, sci-fi, even a children's book. No matter what genre, Page Publishing can bring your book to life. Call today for your free author submission kit and find out how you can be the next published author at Page Publishing.
Call for your free writer's guide, 800-319-0257. That's 800-319-0257, 800-319-0257, or scan the QR code now.
Do you suffer in pain? Are you stiff, tense, or less active? Introducing the Easy Well Remedy Massage System, a triple fusion of therapeutic experiences. Full body vibrational therapy increases blood circulation and reduces inflammation. Infrared heat penetrates deep to reduce pain, soothe, and relax. The Ultra Shiatsu pillow with 6 heated nodes mimics a professional massage. Plus, it's detachable for deep relief anywhere you need it. Experience the true remedy for your pain and stiffness. Call now.
Welcome back to Media Exposed. The legal system's being weaponized against conservatives. What else do we know, right? Breitbart's Alex Marlow, in his book, Breaking the Law, Exposing the Weaponization of American Legal System Against Donald Trump, lays out how the courts have become political weapons against Trump. A whistleblower says Adam Schiff approved classified leaks to smear Trump, calling it treasonous and illegal. The media had hid this corruption for years and only care now because the evidence is undeniable. The narrative that damaging leaks are heroic is collapsing. The public deserves answers. If Schiff abused classified info to take down opponents, this is the kind of government corruption the press should have exposed long ago. I want to welcome my next guest, Alex Marlow, editor-in-chief of Breitbart News and the author of the new book. His new book, Breaking the Law, Exposing the Weaponization of American Legal System Against Donald Trump. Alex, thanks for joining us. I recently saw you. I don't know, you know how this works. I don't know if it's brain overload or social media overload or TV overload, because with Twitter, between Twitter and Instagram and Facebook and TV and streaming platforms, I said, Alex got a great book coming out, and it was a great segment. So I said, we got to reach out to you. Thanks for joining us. But this system of lawfare, I'm glad that happened during the Trump presidency and after his presidency, was unbelievable. I was in Palm Beach around that Mar-a-Lago when that raid happened, which was over the top. But tell us when you got the idea to write this and what brought you to the conclusion. I said, I gotta dig into this further.
Yeah, thanks, Adam. I appreciate it. I think the criminal conviction against Trump was probably what was the real catalyst saying, I got to get this done. The idea was brought to me that someone needs to do a book on this by my agent. I have an agency, the Vigliano Associates, which is a really big literary agency, and my agent, Tom Flannery, who's a conservative book agent, he wanted to get this done, and Natasha Simons, my editor at Simon & Schuster, who's done both of my prior books, both of which were bestsellers, they really want to get this book done, and after a while, I said, I want to do it. I want to write this book, and because it feels like this is the existential threat to MAGA. And things only got so much worse after I took on the project, because we saw this whole rash of temporary restraining orders and all of these judges blocking with these injunctions huge sections of Donald Trump's agenda. And that was after I'd already written, 3/4 of the book on the lawfare about Trump that were trying to keep him out of the White House. And he's in, and the lawfare superstructure immediately gets to work trying to dismantle his agenda. So, Adam, here's the main point. This is the main point. There are many important ancillary points, but this is the main point. What was done to Donald Trump is not just unprecedented. It is a national disgrace, and we are way too casual about it. All 6 of the major cases, most of us can't keep straight in our heads which one was which. All of them were unjust. They all employed novel legal theories that had never been tested before. They all had coordination with Joe Biden's White House. And the whole goal was to subvert our democracy, subvert the will of the people, and make it so that the elite in Washington were choosing who was going to be our president and not letting the voters decide. No one's heads have rolled yet. We've had 2 investigations launched. That's good, but it's not enough. But we need to have accountability here if we're really going to be a system with equal justice under the law.
Last season, Alex, I threw 2 events, right? Marketing communication company at Mar-a-Lago, maybe more. And people flew. One was a American Polish Institute. Other was Indo-Pacific event. We had people flying from overseas, different parts of the country, just to be in that Mar-a-Lago, what they call the tea room. Mm-hmm. And the nerve of a judge to say, and the attorney general to say, this is worth $18 million. That property is probably worth close to $1 billion between the event part of it, the private membership code, the grass.
Let's get into this, because this is a key part of one of the cases, which was the one that ended in the civil judgment of nearly $500 million against Trump in New York. Hinged on Trump undervaluing properties. There were 3 or 4 in all, but the one that's most easy to articulate to a TV audience is the Mar-a-Lago one, where the juryless trial, it's supposed to be a civil trial, but Trump was treated like a criminal the whole time. That was the texture of it, suggesting that Mar-a-Lago worth between $18 and $28 million. Okay, 1-acre properties in that Palm Beach area, Adam, it sounds like are worth about $40 million. 2-acre, because those are more rare, $150 to $200 million. Trump said it was worth $750 million. Trump may have underestimated it. It could be a $1.5 billion. It could be a $2 billion property. It's literally one of a kind. It's historic, and it's 17 acres. And these judges, these liberal Democrats in New York, saying it's worth 10, 20 million maybe. It's criminal.
It's criminal what they did to him, because it was the same case where they found them guilty. But there was nobody, he didn't take money from anybody. There was no victim. How did you even come up with a crime when there was no victim? Usually you have a victim, and the banks approved all this. They're the ones that had to approve.
Fantastic point. So these banks are fiduciaries. They're responsible. They have very sophisticated, Ivy League educated people who are policing these loans. They don't want to get rolled. They can't. They have shareholders. They have partners. They have people who are accountable on these loans. They're not going to get fleeced by Donald Trump. They have very sophisticated mechanisms to check on this. There wasn't even one complaint against Trump. These banks regarded him as a whale when the Deutsche Bank executive said Trump is a whale, and he's generating them millions of dollars in business. Trump told me when I interviewed him for the book, he said he actually had a habit of paying back loans early, even if he incurred a penalty, just to make sure he didn't know anything that beyond the initial borrow. It's one of these things where he knew this could be a vulnerability for him, and he had already made adjustments to his lifestyle in order to make sure those loans were paid on time, and it was still used to try to attack him. There were no complaints. There were no victims. There was not one penny. I make a semi-joke in the book. I said, okay, so let's say Trump had, it needs to be assessed damages. Okay, let's say just for penalty's sake, we're going to quadruple the damages, and that's going to be Trump's penalty. That's quadruple zero. It's still zero.
Right.
No one was kept from getting one penny from Donald Trump.
Right. And there's such bad. They love Trump because these banks need to exist. They need loans. They need constant real estate loans. We have terrible real estate laws in New York. Landlords can't refinance their buildings because they can't fix up the apartments. All these weird laws they have. But then again, that's what the banks live on. And that's why Trump keeps hitting Powell to lower the interest rates, because the banks need loans. They need the real estate movement. Without that, we don't have a growing real estate market. And it's very important. But one of the worst cases, too, almost a comical case, was that civil case. You're going to tell me Donald Trump in 96 or so? Walks into Bergdorf Goodman. He's really well known then. He's famous by then. He's been in movies by then. And he just jumps into a woman he's not even attracted to, let's be honest here, like Trump. and he just molests a woman in a dressing room. And that actually went to trial. But why we have a show here, Alex, is Media Exposed, because the media just played along with it like a bunch of fools. And that woman was definitely off her rockers, definitely on some sort of meds. I think so. I don't want to say 100%, but that was another joke of a civil case. Give me your thoughts on that and some of the other weird cases.
You highlight a couple things sort of offhanded, but they're very important points that you raise. First of all, E. Jean Carroll was not Donald Trump's type. He has been married to some of the most beautiful women in the world. And this is a woman who's older than he is, who's not traditionally beautiful. I'm not trying to say she's ugly. I'm not trying to say that. But she's not Donald Trump's type. That's not Donald Trump's type, is women who are older and are not gorgeous. That is not his type. So that was a absolutely legit objection to the suggestion that Trump had somehow raped her or sexually assaulted her. That's number one. But going beyond that, this was a person who was obsessed with sex at Bergdorf Goodman. She'd written about this in her advice columns. She was clearly a very odd person. I'll say that because, she's used for defamation, so I want to be careful. But she had a cat named Vagina. I reveal in the book, she also had a dog named Tits. She lived in a house that she called the Mouse House. She says she gets up at noon. She has a polka dot car. Her art is she hangs garbage from strings and drapes them over trees around her property. That's the type of person this is. There are no eyewitnesses at all. And we're just supposed to believe her story. And then when Trump's attorneys tried to bring some of this up in the courtroom, the judge, this guy Louis A. Kaplan, who needs to get investigated, he blocked all of it. Meanwhile, he allowed for the Carroll team to play the Access Hollywood tape to try to act as though Trump is some sort of a bad man.
Alex, if anything says why we have these shows and why Breitbart covers Media Exposed, what you just said, some of the greatest papers in New York City, New York Times, the Post, the Daily News, all these major institutions, and some of those things you just said, I didn't even know about it. And it took you to write the book. Took you to write a book, and I learned some things. And I'm a junkie in politics, so it shows how terrible the media is. Because the president of the United States is in a civil, ex-president at that moment, was in a civil lawsuit. And where was the digging about this woman? They just played along with it. It's horrible what they did. Let me something else in the book that really stands out. One of the other cases you find really corrupt. Give me another one.
Well, the two most egregious, the Tish James case, a lot has been made about this. I got a big article laying out all the facts of that case. With at Breitbart News. I mean, she was the most blatant in terms of using lawfare to try to jail Donald Trump for political purposes. Meanwhile, she was ignoring crime that she was responsible for in New York. The details there are explosive, but for the sake of time, I'll share. The most egregious thing is the Jack Smith appointment. Jack Smith was unconstitutional, and he was appointed by Merrick Garland, but I think he was pushed into it by these women, Vanita Gupta and Lisa Monaco, who were his deputies of the DOJ. There's no way that this happened without coordination from the White House. And that needs to be investigated as well. Smith is the type of guy who's such a far left-wing guy. He left the country when Trump got elected the first time, and they had to bring him back from The Hague, where he was working at the international kangaroo court that they have over there. They had to bring him back to do this prosecution. He's known for being highly aggressive, and he'd previously been embarrassed at the Supreme Court, which had basically rebuked him for his aggression. They bring this guy in. His job doesn't exist. It's not a real job. He operates with impunity for 18 months. Everything he's finding, he's leaking to the Washington Post to try to gin up negative news cycles for Trump. And lo and behold, we learned his job was totally bogus. This is a huge travesty of justice.
Alex, I want to thank you. We could spend 10 hours on this. I'm going to bring you back soon. Let's discuss more of this. It's so interesting. Thank you, Alex, for joining us. See you soon.
Adam, you're kind to reach out. Thank you for the time.
A word from our partner sponsor at Hotel Plan. Are you frustrated with how confusing it is these days to find and book a good hotel for yourself, your family, or for large group events? Our friends at Hotel Plan have a cutting-edge hotel booking platform that's easy to navigate, is AI-powered, and has over 1.4 million global properties available across all travel carriers. It's been around for 20 years. Go to hotelplanner.com and book your hotel, your travel right now. I want to thank Fran and Aaron for doing a great job. Control room. David Zier, host of Breaking Point, for joining us. Alex Marlowe, editor of Breitbart News. Dana Kennedy from the Daily Mail for joining us, and State Senator George Borrello for joining us as well. See you next week on Media Exposed.
Why aren't you getting results? Random workouts, overtraining muscles, completely missing others, wasted time. Don't do that. Do this. This is 25 Minute Speed Train. Follow me for just 25 minutes a day, 7 days a week. with minimal equipment and get actual results.
Look at the definition. I didn't have these arms in high school.
Subscribe to Body in the next 24 hours for less than 50 cents a day and get 25-minute speed train free at bodywithaneye.com.
Water, nature's ultimate cleaner.